Third, ladies and gentlemen, if you wish to see how free you truly are, look no further than the moments when you overreact. A word, a glance, a memory, so small, yet it ignites a wildfire inside you, and before you know it, you're carried away, dragged by waves of anger, fear, or regret. What if you could break this chain? What if you could stand where the storm begins and refuse to be swept away? Listen closely. If you stay with me till the end, you'll understand not only how to kill overreaction, but how to master the hidden force that rules your entire life, your emotions. Begin with this simple truth. You are not your reaction. A reaction is just energy, a ripple on the surface of your awareness. Most people confuse the ripple for the ocean. They panic, they defend, they attack, all because they believe the ripple defines them. But when you learn to observe, when you sit quietly with what rises inside you, you will see a space open up. This space is freedom. This space is power, and it begins with the power of observation. Next time you feel rage burning your chest or worry tightening your throat, do nothing. Watch it. Feel its shape. Breathe into it. Like a fire starved of oxygen, it starts to shrink. You don't need to silence your mind. You only need to stop fueling its noise. The moment you watch without judgment, you sever the fuel line. From here, you can choose to respond instead of react. A reaction is an explosion. A response is a gentle wave, deliberate and calm. Between what happens and how you answer, there's a tiny gap. This gap is where mastery lives. Use your breath to anchor you to this gap. Inhale. Feel the world return to you. Exhale. Release the poison that begged you to lash out. And then, when the mind wants to drag you back into the story, the insult, the betrayal, the fear of what may come, stay still. Sit with it like you would sit with a restless child. Watch the noise until it loses its grip. Mastery of emotion is not suppression. It is intimacy. It is courage. It is the art of not being owned by passing storms. And when you live like this, anchored, watchful, calm, the world tries to shake you, provoke you, pull you into its games. But you remain unshaken. You remain free. Chill overreaction by becoming the witness. Master your emotions by refusing to be mastered by them. This is your silent rebellion against chaos. This is your quiet power in a noisy world. Stay here, stay awake, and you will see the storm has no power over the ocean. Most people live their days chained to a pattern they hardly notice. A pattern where one tiny spark of thought becomes a raging fire that consumes their peace in seconds. Imagine this. You're sitting quietly, perhaps enjoying a cup of tea, when suddenly a memory appears. A harsh word someone said to you years ago. It's gone, yet the memory pulls you back. Without realizing it, you replay the scene, feel the insult again. Your chest tightens, anger rises, your heart pounds. You slam the cup down harder than you meant to. The chain reaction has begun. This is how overreaction works. It's not the world that shakes you, but your mind's automatic ignition of emotion. One tiny spark, a word, a look, a thought, catches hold of dry leaves in your mind. Those leaves are old stories, beliefs, grudges, insecurities, and the moment they catch fire, they burn without your permission. This is how a single unguarded thought can ruin a whole day, sometimes a week, sometimes an entire chapter of life. But there is something most never realize. You are not bound to this chain. You do not have to be a puppet, dangling from the strings of old memories and triggered reactions. The first step to freedom is to truly see the chain for what it is. An automatic loop that runs because you never questioned it. Just like a match does not burn unless it strikes the box. Your overreaction cannot exist unless you allow the spark to find fuel. To recognize the chain reaction, you must become deeply honest with yourself. Notice how one thought breeds another. See how quickly your mind spins stories to justify your rising anger or fear. A passing worry about your future can become an entire nightmare about failure, rejection, poverty. All within minutes. And yet, if you were to pause right at the first thought and look at it calmly, it would lose its power. People spend their lives fighting the flames, shouting back when insulted, explaining themselves endlessly, defending their image, trying to win arguments that mean nothing in the end. But no one teaches them to stop the match before it lights. The match is the very first thought, the first emotional spark. Once you learn to see it, really see it, you gain the power to put it down before it touches the box. Look at your own life. How many fights, regrets, cold wars, sleepless nights were born because you didn't notice the first spark? How many moments did you lose to worry because you mistook a passing cloud for a permanent storm? This recognition is not about blame. It is about freedom. It is about seeing that the chain reaction is not who you are. It is only a habit your mind repeats because you were never taught to interrupt it. This is your privilege. Sit with this thought. Next time someone says something harsh, or life throws an unexpected challenge at you, pause. Catch the first reaction before it becomes a wildfire. Observe it without rushing to add fuel. When anger flares, say to yourself, here is the spark. When fear tightens your chest, say, here is the first link in the chain. Name it. Witness it. Do not fight it. The moment you watch it honestly, you stop feeding it. This is the beginning of killing overreaction. And when you practice this, you discover something surprising. The chain is only strong when you are asleep to it. The moment you are awake, its links turn to smoke. You begin to see how much of your suffering was self-created, not because you deserved pain, but because you did not know you were striking matches in a dry forest every single day. The real power is not in controlling the world so that nothing ever triggers you. That is impossible. People will lie, people will gossip, life will throw chaos your way. But the power lies in seeing that chaos needs your permission to take root inside you. Without your consent, the spark stays harmless. It cannot ignite the forest of your mind if you stand watchful, match in hand, refusing to strike it. This is how you begin to master your emotions, not by becoming stone, but by becoming aware, by standing guard at the gate of your mind, by recognizing that the chain reaction only lives because you keep it alive. To break it, see it. To see it, stay awake. And once awake, you realize no one holds the match but you. When you realize how easily a single thought can set your entire emotional world ablaze, you begin to appreciate the delicate power of awareness. Think about how often you've sat in silence, only for one random idea to creep in. A worry about tomorrow's meeting. A passing regret about something you said years ago. A fear that you aren't doing enough with your life. In that instant, your mind latches on, spinning the thought like thread on a wheel, weaving it into an entire story that pulls you in so deep you forget where you are. Your heart races, your breath shortens, your jaw tightens. That tiny spark has become a wildfire, and you are the forest. But what if you could see it happen? What if you could slow that moment down so much that you could watch the spark land, but instead of watching it spread, you could simply blow it out? This is what it means to recognize the chain reaction. It is the first, most vital step toward mastering your emotions and killing the reflex to overreact. Most people never notice the exact point where reaction begins. They think the insult hurts them, not realizing it's their mind replaying the insult that truly causes pain. They believe the worry about the future ruins their night, not seeing that it's their constant feeding of that worry with what-ifs and worst-case scenarios that robs them of sleep. The chain reaction is so fast, so invisible, that it feels natural, but it isn't. It's a habit, one that can be broken by watching it carefully. Try this. Next time your chest tightens because of an angry thought, don't do anything about it. Just notice it. Feel it fully. The heat in your face, the clenching of your fists, the swirl of words in your head. Stay with it like you'd watch a flame dancing on a candle. Don't feed it. Don't argue with it. Don't push it away, just watch. You'll see that without your constant mental chatter, the feeling has nowhere to go. It flickers, it burns, then it softens. It cannot hold itself up forever. It lives off your attention, your belief in the story. This moment, the recognition of the first spark, is your greatest power. It is the point where freedom lives. If you master this, you'll notice that the same insult that used to ruin your week now barely stirs you. The same worry that paralyzed you for hours now passes like a breeze. The same betrayal that once broke you now becomes a lesson instead of a prison. Most spiritual teachings point to this simple fact in different words. You are the witness, not the storm. The storm only feels like you because you are tangled in it, identified with every gust of thought and emotion. But if you learn to sit back, to rest as the one who sees, the storm loses its power. Imagine your mind as a matchbox. Every trigger in life is a match. Some are big, some small, but none can ignite themselves. They need friction. They need you to strike them. Recognition is the moment you hold the match and decide, not this time. It doesn't mean you won't feel things. You are human. You will. But you won't become a puppet to every passing spark. This is not suppression. It's not cold indifference. It's understanding that reacting blindly drains your energy, your peace, your clarity. By seeing the first link in the chain, you choose not to be shackled to it. This choice makes you dangerous to the chaos of the world. Because what can anyone do to someone who does not feed the spark? Practice this in small moments, the traffic jam, the late reply, the careless comment. See the spark land in your mind. Feel its heat. Then breathe. Name it. Smile at it. Let it fade. Over time you will stand in the middle of life's wildest storms and remain untouched inside. And it all begins here, in the quiet, simple recognition of the first reaction and your power to break the chain before it binds you again. There is a power that almost everyone overlooks, the simple, silent power of observation. Most people are taught to chase solutions, to argue with their own mind, to control or suppress what they feel, but they are rarely shown that the greatest mastery lies not in force, but in quiet seeing. If you truly want to master your emotions and stop your habit of overreacting, you must learn the art of watching your mind, your feelings, your impulses, without being swept away by them. Think about this. Your thoughts and emotions are like clouds drifting across the sky. Some are bright and harmless, others heavy with thunder. Most people stand under these clouds, believing the storm is who they are. They see anger rise and say, I am angry. They feel fear and declare, I am afraid. But look closely. Is that true? Or is anger just passing through you like a cloud across an endless sky? Who is the sky? Who is the space that sees the cloud? Observation changes everything. Imagine a moment when someone cuts you off in traffic. Instantly, your mind flares. How dare they? You grip the wheel tighter. A wave of irritation surges through your chest. If you are lost in this reaction, you become the anger. You blast the horn, you shout, you replay the moment in your head for hours. You let it stain your whole day. But if you can pause for just a heartbeat, if you can simply watch that irritation rise, something magical happens. Suddenly, you are no longer just the anger, you are the one noticing it. And when you notice it without feeding it, it begins to dissolve. This is the power that separates those who live in turmoil from those who move through life with a quiet strength. Observation is not indifference. It's not pretending you don't feel things. It's not acting as if you are made of stone. It is the courage to sit with what rises inside you. The heat in your chest, the tight knot in your throat, and see it as it is without rushing to do something about it. In the beginning, it feels impossible. The mind is restless. It wants to analyze, fix, fight, explain. But slowly, with practice, you discover something surprising. When you watch an emotion without judgment, you strip it of its fuel. It is like a fire deprived of oxygen. The flames dance wildly for a moment, then flicker out, because you are not throwing more logs onto the pile. The habit of overreaction is fed by your habit of believing every thought, every feeling. Observation breaks this habit. You begin to see that not every thought deserves your trust. Not every feeling deserves your surrender. When a wave of self-doubt hits you, instead of drowning in it, you watch it come and go. When jealousy bites at your mind, you sit with it, curious, calm, unmoved, until it loses its teeth. To cultivate this power, you need nothing but patience and honesty. Sit quietly each day, even for a few minutes. Watch your thoughts come and go like cars on a road. Notice how your mind jumps from one worry to the next. Feel the tightness that comes when you remember an old hurt. Just watch. Do not try to stop anything. Do not try to fix anything. Be the witness. Over time, you will discover a secret that changes your life. You are not the storm. You are the sky. The sky does not hold grudges against the clouds. It does not panic when thunder rolls through. It allows everything to pass, untouched and unchanged. This is the essence of true freedom. To let what comes come and let what goes go, while you remain steady at the center. You may wonder, what good is just watching? Shouldn't I do something? But see for yourself. When you watch with deep awareness, you will know when to act and when to be still. Right action flows naturally from clear observation. You respond instead of react. You speak from calm instead of panic. You step away instead of exploding. You stay anchored even when others lose themselves in their storms. This is not a trick to escape pain, but a way to live fully awake in this world. A world that will always offer you sparks to light fires in your mind, but with the quiet power of observation, you hold the match and the wind in your hands. You remain unburned. And that is how you begin to master not just your emotions, but your entire life. This is the aura. Put your watch on your white, your weigher house. Write it in your book. There is a point in every reaction when the mind takes a simple moment and spins it into an entire drama. A look you didn't understand becomes a judgment against you. A delay in someone's reply becomes proof that you're unloved. A small mistake at work grows into a fear that you're a failure, and everyone will see it. This is the mind's greatest trick. It takes reality, raw, neutral, simple, and wraps it in layers of stories, assumptions, and predictions that have no life of their own except the life you give them. To master your emotions, you must learn to see the story for what it is, just a story, not truth, not fact. Just a tale your mind tells you, often out of habit, fear, or old wounds. The pain comes not from what happened, but from what you tell yourself about what happened. The sting is not in the words someone spoke, but in the hours you spend replaying it, adding new lines to the script, imagining what you should have said, what they really meant, what might happen next. Every time you lose yourself in these stories, you tighten the knot inside you. The more you repeat the story, the more real it feels. The mind loves this game because it makes you forget the present moment. It makes you believe you are the story's main character, trapped, helpless, needing to react. But the truth is, the story has no power when you refuse to play your part. Sit for a moment and think about how many times you have replayed the same old scenes in your head. How many imaginary arguments have you won? How many times have you predicted a disaster that never came? How much precious time has slipped through your fingers because you were busy living in a movie your mind directed and produced? To detach from the story, you must first see how easily your mind creates it. It only needs a seed, a single comment, a fleeting feeling, and it grows a forest of what-ifs and could-bes. But you are not bound to wander that forest. You can step out any moment you choose. Try this. The next time you feel the urge to react, pause. Ask yourself, what is the raw fact? And what is my story about this fact? For example, the fact might be that your friend didn't text you back. The story is, they don't care about me, I must have done something wrong, maybe they're pulling away. The fact is that someone frowned at you in a meeting. The story is, they hate me. They think I'm incompetent, everyone else must think so too. See the difference. The fact is neutral. The story is charged with your old fears, insecurities, and memories. The moment you separate the two, you create space. In that space, your emotion softens. You see that you have a choice. You can feed the story, or you can drop it. This is not about pretending nothing matters. It's about responding to what's real, not to what your mind invents. If your friend truly has an issue with you, you can ask. If your work needs improvement, you can learn. But you do this from clarity, not panic. You act from calm awareness, not from a mind tangled in its own fiction. When you practice stepping back from the story, you discover an incredible freedom. You find that most insults lose their sting when you don't wrap them in meaning. Many fears melt away when you stop narrating them into monsters. Much of your anger fades when you stop telling yourself you were betrayed, disrespected, overlooked. You see that sometimes life just happens. People are busy. Words are careless. Mistakes are made. Not everything is a sign of your worth or a threat to your peace. To detach from the story, become the observer. Watch how your mind wants to pull you in. Watch how it tempts you with drama, outrage, or self-pity. Smile at this trick. Let the thoughts pass by like birds flying overhead. No need to catch them, cage them, or follow them. Follow them. This is the quiet strength few ever find. Anyone can shout back, explain themselves, seek revenge, or spiral into worry. But it takes a deeper courage to stand still, watch the story unfold in your mind and gently say, "Not this time." It takes practice, yes, but each time you choose to step back, you break another link in the chain of overreaction. With time, you'll find yourself lighter, quieter inside. The same words that once triggered you now pass like a breeze. The same situations that used to drag you into overthinking lose their hold. You start to live in reality, not in your mind's noisy theater. And when you live here, in what is, not what might be, you meet life as it comes, with a calm mind and an open heart. This is how you free yourself from the story and from the suffering it brings. Respond, don't react. 4 simple words that hold the power to transform the entire way you move through life. At first glance they sound alike, but in truth they are worlds apart. Reaction is blind, automatic, born from the primitive corners of your mind that scream survival. A reaction is like a spark striking dry wood, instant, uncontrolled, and almost always regretted when the smoke clears. A response, however, is deliberate. It is not chained to old wounds or knee-jerk impulses. It comes from a place of presence, of conscious choice, of clarity. If you wish to master your emotions, you must learn this difference and practice it until it shapes the core of who you are. Think about the last time you reacted. Perhaps someone cut you off mid-sentence, and before you knew it, you snapped back, words flying from your mouth like arrows. Maybe someone disappointed you, and your mind instantly drowned you in anger, bitterness, or blame. In that moment, there was no gap between the trigger and what you did next. That is reaction, pure, raw, unchecked. Now imagine if you could slow that moment down, just a few heartbeats longer. You feel the sting of the insult, the rise of heat in your chest, the tight knot in your stomach. But instead of exploding outward, you do nothing for a breath. You watch it. You hold it in your awareness like a hot coal, feeling its heat without throwing it. And in that small pause, something opens up. The space where response is born. This space is where your freedom lives. Most people never touch it because they have trained themselves to believe every impulse must be obeyed. They think feeling something is a command to act on it immediately. But when you see that a feeling is just a signal, not an order, you begin to reclaim your power. Anger might flare, but you don't have to spit it out. Fear might tighten your chest, but you don't have to run or lash out. Sadness might visit, but you don't have to drown in self-pity. You can feel deeply, yet choose wisely. This is response. To respond instead of react means you stand as the master at the gates of your own mind. You refuse to let every passing storm dictate your next step. It is not about suppressing emotion. You are not stone. It is about guiding it, like a river channeled through safe banks, rather than flooding wildly through the fields, destroying everything in its path. Practice this in small, ordinary moments. When someone speaks harshly, notice how your body wants to tighten. Your tongue wants to shoot back a sharper word. Pause, breathe. Feel the urge. Then ask yourself, what is needed here? Not what will satisfy my pride, not how can I hurt back harder, but what truly serves me in this moment? Sometimes the answer is silence. Sometimes it is a calm statement of truth. Sometimes it is walking away entirely. This is what makes response so powerful. It is flexible. It is alive to the reality of the moment. A reaction always repeats the same patterns: defend, attack, retreat, repeat. A response is fresh, born from awareness. It sees the situation for what it is, not through the fog of old pain or restless ego. As you grow this skill, you'll notice how much energy you once wasted on reactions that changed nothing but your peace. How many arguments you fueled that didn't need to happen. How many relationships you strained because your pride insisted you must have the last word. You'll see that so many problems in life are not problems. They are just poorly handled moments that reaction turns into chaos. Responding instead of reacting also means you hold yourself responsible for the only thing you ever truly control, your own behavior. The world will provoke you. People will be rude, careless, thoughtless. Life will not bend itself to keep you comfortable. But your mind, your words, your choices, these are yours. When you learn to stand in that space between trigger and action, you discover the quiet power that no one can steal from you. Over time, you become the calm in the room full of storms. People wonder why they cannot push your buttons so easily anymore. You still feel deeply, but you choose your words, your actions, your tone with care. You realize that true strength is not in dominating others with anger or quick comebacks, but in mastering yourself so fully that nothing drags you into the mud with it. This is the freedom that comes from responding, not reacting. A freedom born not from force, but from presence. A strength not from hardness, but from wisdom. And it begins with a single breath, a small pause. The courage to stand still when your mind demands you strike. In that stillness, you do not lose your power. You claim it, you guard it, and you give it only where it truly matters. When your emotions begin to boil, anger, anxiety, panic, frustration, you may feel as though you're drowning in a flood. You can't stop. Thoughts race. Your chest tightens. Your breath becomes shallow. And before you know it, you've said or done something that only fuels the fire. But what if the very thing that seems automatic, your breath, could be your secret anchor in these storms? What if each inhale and exhale held the power to break the cycle of overreaction and return you to yourself? The breath is so ordinary that most people overlook it completely. Yet it is the bridge between your body and mind. It carries your panic, your calm, your hidden tensions. Every emotional wave you feel is reflected in the rise and fall of your breath. When you're angry, your breathing is sharp and fast. When you're anxious, it's shallow and stuck high in your chest. When you're calm, your breath is deep and slow, like a quiet sea. Most people try to control their emotions with more thoughts. They argue with anger, wrestle with worry, repeat affirmations, or tell themselves to just calm down. But the mind that creates the storm rarely knows how to calm it. The body, however, does. When you work with the breath, you send a message to your entire nervous system. We are safe. We are here. We can be still. The mind might resist, but the body listens. Think about the last time you felt sudden rage. Maybe someone cut you off on the road, or someone you trusted let you down. Notice how your breath changed instantly. Maybe you didn't notice it then, but look back. Did your chest tighten? Did you hold your breath? Did your shoulders clench around your ears? This subtle shift sets off alarms in your nervous system, telling your brain that you're under threat. The mind, picking up the body's panic, spins new thoughts to match. They always disrespect me. People never care. I have to fight back. And so the chain reaction grows. But if in that very moment you remembered to breathe consciously, One deep inhale through your nose, filling your belly. One long, slow exhale through your mouth. You would interrupt the chain. You'd send a signal to your body that the danger is not real. Your heart would slow down, your shoulders would drop, your chest would soften. And when your body softens, the mind has less to feed on. And this is not just philosophy. It's a simple truth of how you are wired. The breath is the remote control for your nervous system. When you master the breath, you master the panic before it takes hold. You break the loop before it loops you. Close your eyes and take a deep, deliberate breath. Let it fill your ribs, your belly. Feel the air inside you. Life itself, moving in and out without force. Then exhale slowly, as if you are releasing all the tension you've been carrying. Do this 3 times. Notice how you feel. It is so simple, yet so powerful. In these quiet breaths, there is no reaction. There is only presence. This is your anchor. Whenever you feel yourself pulled into anger or anxiety, return to the breath. Make it a practice. When you're about to speak an angry word, pause and breathe instead. When your mind wants to explode with worry, breathe. Feel the breath, not just in your lungs, but in your entire body, how it expands your chest, your belly, your ribs, how it soothes the knot in your throat, how it brings you back here, now. Some might scoff, how can breath alone fix deep emotions? But see for yourself. You are not replacing feeling with breath. You are giving the feeling space to move through you without controlling you. Breath doesn't suppress emotion, it softens its grip. It reminds you that beneath every storm is the calm ocean of your own awareness. Make the breath your friend. Use it when you're stuck in traffic, standing in a heated argument, lying awake with worries. Breathe when you're about to hit send on that angry message. Breathe before you answer the phone when you know it's bad news. One breath will not erase life's troubles, but it will give you the space to meet them without losing yourself. Over time, this practice becomes second nature. Your breath becomes a doorway back to your calm center. It teaches you that you are never truly at the mercy of your reactions. You have an anchor, steady, quiet, always with you. So when the world provokes you, when your mind races, when your heart pounds, remember, you carry the calm within you, hidden in the rise and fall of a single mindful breath. There is a secret space within you that most people rush past their entire lives without noticing. It's small, subtle, yet it holds the power to change everything about how you handle your emotions. This space is the tiny gap between what happens to you and what you do next. It is the pause between stimulus and response, the breath before the word, the heartbeat before the action. If you can learn to rest inside this gap, even for a moment, you can break the automatic loop of reaction and choose a response that serves you, not your old patterns. Most people live like puppets pulled by invisible strings. Something happens, a harsh word, a disappointment, a surprise setback, and they snap back with anger, panic, or blame before they even know what's happening. It's so quick, so deeply ingrained, that it feels impossible to stop. But hidden inside that rush is always a moment, a fraction of a second, when you could choose differently. Most never see it because they've never trained themselves to look. Imagine for a moment you're at work and someone criticizes you unfairly. The old habit is to flare up instantly, defend yourself, argue, withdraw, or replay the moment endlessly in your mind. But what if, in that moment, when their words hit you, you didn't react? What if you felt the sting in your chest, noticed the heat rising to your face, but instead of lashing out or shutting down, you paused, but even 2 seconds of silence can reveal the gap. In that silence, you see that you have a choice. Feed the old story, or respond from clarity. This gap is not emptiness. It is pure possibility. Inside it, you are free from the momentum of your conditioning. The old fears, the buried anger, the desperate need to be right. Here, you can ask yourself, what is true? What is needed now? Do I need to defend myself, or can I listen? Do I need to prove my worth, or can I let this pass? Do I need to speak now, or is silence stronger? The beauty of mastering the gap is that it's always available, no matter where you are or who you're with. The gap is the same, whether you're facing a family argument, an impatient driver, or your own mind spiraling at night. The world can be loud and chaotic, but inside that sliver of stillness, you stand untouched for a moment. That moment is enough to change everything. Learning to live in this gap is not about becoming passive or indifferent. It is about acting from presence, not reflex. Sometimes the right response is strong and direct. Sometimes it is soft and patient. Sometimes it is walking away entirely. The difference is that when you respond from the gap, you act with awareness. You know why you're saying what you say, why you're doing what you do. You are no longer dragged by impulses you can't name. How do you find this gap in real life? The simplest doorway is the breath. When you feel a surge of emotion, notice your breath. Slow it down. Feel it move in and out. The breath itself is a gap. It interrupts the flood of reaction and brings you back to the present. Another way is to name what you feel. Here is anger. Here is fear. Here is the urge to run or lash out. Naming breaks the automatic flow. It creates distance between you and the emotion. You see that you have an emotion. With practice, you start noticing this gap more often. At first, you'll catch it only after you've reacted. You'll see yourself snapping at someone, hanging up the phone, or sending that angry message. Then, you'll feel the regret. That, too, is practice. Notice it without blame. Next time you'll feel the gap while you're reacting. You'll hear the words leaving your mouth, but a part of you will see, I could have paused. Eventually you'll see the gap before the reaction takes shape. You'll feel the heat rise, and you'll stand still inside the fire, unburned. The more you rest in this space, the freer you become. You realize you are not the puppet of your triggers. You have room to breathe, to choose, to stay calm when others lose themselves. People will sense something different in you, a quiet strength they can't shake. They may try to provoke you, to pull you into their drama, but you'll find yourself anchored in the space between. It's not that you feel nothing. You feel fully, but you no longer have to obey every feeling that rises. This is where real mastery lives, not in controlling life, but in choosing your part in it. Not in numbing your emotions, but in giving them space to appear and dissolve without owning you. The world will keep testing you, but the gap remains. A door always open to the freedom that waits in your next breath, your next pause, your next quiet, conscious choice. Stillness is not what most people think it is. It is not the absence of thought, nor is it pretending that life's noise does not exist. It is not shutting yourself away in a quiet room and hoping the world leaves you alone. True stillness is the unwavering calm you carry inside you. even when the world is anything but quiet. It is the silence that watches the mind's chaos without getting swept away. To embrace stillness is to find strength, not in fighting your emotions, but in sitting with them so completely that they lose their power to control you. We live in a world that worships noise. If you are not constantly talking, posting, arguing, reacting, the world thinks you are invisible. Everyone has an opinion to shout, a wound to display, a defense to build. The mind is restless, always hungry for something to fight or fix or explain. But all this noise blinds you to the simple truth that nothing outside you truly disturbs your peace. Only your unwillingness to sit in silence with yourself does. When something triggers you, a harsh word, a careless act, a betrayal, the mind demands action. Speak now. Prove your point. Attack back. Run away. Do something. The silence inside you, however, whispers, wait. Sit. Watch. In that waiting, you discover that what you thought was unbearable is just a passing wave. When you do not react to the wave, it has nowhere to go but back into the sea. Most people fear stillness because it confronts them with themselves. In the noise, they can blame others. They can distract themselves with endless arguments, overthinking, scrolling, gossiping. But in the quiet, all that remains is the truth. Your reaction is your own. Your anger lives inside you, not in the other person's words. Your fear is not in the situation, but in how your mind clings to it. This can feel uncomfortable at first. To sit still is to face your raw feelings, without the shield of blame or distraction. Yet this is exactly why stillness is so powerful. When you sit with your emotions, you see that they are not monsters but messengers. Anger may arise, watch it. Fear may tighten your chest, feel it. Betrayal may burn, sit with the burn. You do not force them away or pretend they are not there. You give them space to reveal themselves fully without your interference, and when they are seen completely, they pass on their own. Then stillness is not passivity. It is a conscious choice to act from clarity instead of panic. Some believe that if they do not react instantly, they will appear weak or indifferent. But look closer. What is stronger? Shouting back in anger, or staying so rooted in your own calm that no insult can drag you down? True strength is quiet. It does not announce itself. It does not fight to prove its power. It stands steady like a mountain while storms pass over it. Try this the next time you feel provoked. Instead of firing back, do nothing for a moment. Feel the rush of your heartbeat, the thoughts swirling, the urge to explode. Stay where you are, breathe. Be the silent witness to the chaos inside you. You may find that what you thought needed an immediate reaction loses its urgency. From that place of calm, you can respond, or not respond at all, with wisdom instead of reflex. Stillness also reveals how fleeting emotions truly are. An insult that burns now is forgotten tomorrow. A betrayal that feels like the end of the world becomes a lesson years later. But if you react from that first wave, you plant seeds of regret that last far longer than the emotion itself. Stillness gives you the space to see the bigger picture, to ask, does this deserve my energy? Will this matter tomorrow, next month, next year? More often than not, the answer is no. When you live with this silent strength, people will notice something they can't quite name. They may call you calm, unbothered, untouchable. But it is not that you do not feel. You feel everything. You simply refuse to let everything own you. You become the eye of the storm, aware of the swirling winds, yet untouched at the center. The world will always try to test your peace. People will come with drama, chaos, accusations. Your own mind will tempt you with old stories and fears. But when you embrace stillness, you carry your refuge with you. You do not need the world to be quiet for you to be calm. You do not need people to behave for you to feel strong. You find that the true source of your power has been with you all along, the silent place inside you that no noise can touch. This is not an escape from life, but a way to live it fully without drowning in its storms. To embrace stillness is to stand with your eyes wide open, your heart steady and your mind free. It is to know that you are not here to react to every wave. You are here to watch them rise and fall, while you remain the quiet ocean beneath it all. One of the greatest shifts you will ever make is realizing that mastery over your emotions is not something you achieve once and then possess forever. It is not a trophy you place on a shelf, untouched by the dust of life's unpredictability. Instead, it is a living, breathing practice, an art that unfolds moment by moment, choice by choice, breath by breath. You do not become a master by reading wise words or listening to beautiful advice alone. You become a master by practicing, failing, noticing, and practicing again. People often make the mistake of seeking a final cure for their overreaction. They want a switch they can flip to never feel anger again, never feel fear, never feel hurt. But this desire itself is a trap. To be human is to feel. Emotions will always come and go. The difference lies in how you relate to them. Mastery is not the end of feeling, but the deep understanding that you can feel everything without letting it drown you or dictate your next move. This is why practice is everything. Every time you catch yourself mid-reaction, you are practicing. Every time you pause before sending a sharp reply, you are practicing. Every time you notice your breath when fear creeps in, you are strengthening the muscles of your awareness. No one else can do this work for you. No book, teacher, or technique can stand in for your own willingness to show up for your mind again and again. In the beginning, practice can feel awkward, even discouraging. You might find yourself snapping at someone and realizing only afterward, I did it again. You might watch your mind spin stories at midnight and feel powerless to stop it. But even this seeing, this moment when you witness your old habit playing out, is part of the practice. The difference now is that you see it. What you see clearly, you can change. What remains hidden controls you forever. Consistency is the secret no one wants to hear because it sounds ordinary, but it is sacred. A single moment of calm observation can change how you handle one argument. 1,000 moments of calm observation, repeated day after day, can change how you handle your entire life. Just as a musician trains their fingers daily to produce a single beautiful note, you train your mind to produce a single beautiful pause, and from that pause, wisdom flows. The simplest practices are the strongest. Notice your breath. Name your feelings as they arise. Pause before speaking. Choose silence when your ego screams for the last word. Sit alone, without distraction, and watch the stories your mind weaves. None of these practices are dramatic. They are quiet, subtle, but they sharpen your awareness like a blade honed on stone. When you practice daily, you also learn to forgive yourself daily. There will be moments you fall back into old patterns. You will react without thinking, say things you regret, replay old wounds. This is not failure. It is life reminding you that you are still alive, still learning. The mind has momentum built from years, sometimes decades, of habit. To change it is to swim upstream. Some days you drift backward, some days you surge ahead. The point is not to reach perfection, but to keep turning back toward your calm center again and again. This practice is not only for quiet moments alone, it is tested in the messiness of real life, in traffic, in arguments, in uncertainty. Mastery shows itself when you are tired, disappointed, provoked. Anyone can appear calm when life is kind. Practice makes you calm when life is anything but kind. Over time, practice becomes more than something you do, it becomes who you are. You become a person who notices before reacting, who pauses before striking the match of anger, who breathes through fear instead of feeding it. Others may wonder at your composure, but you will know the truth. It is not magic. It is not luck. It is daily practice, invisible, steady, often uncomfortable, yet more rewarding than anything the restless mind could promise. Live other than you live. You do not achieve mastery like a medal you hang around your neck. You live it as a path, a way of moving through the world, clear-eyed, awake, open to all feelings yet enslaved by none. This is how you kill overreaction and master your emotions. Not by force, not by suppression, but by meeting yourself daily in silence and in storms, with a quiet commitment to practice again and again, for as long as you breathe. What does it mean to kill overreaction and master your emotions? It is not about becoming someone untouched by life's sharp edges, or pretending that anger, fear, or sadness will never visit you again. It is about knowing exactly what to do when they arrive. It is about standing as the witness when your mind spins stories, watching the chain reaction spark, and remembering you hold the match, not the fire. It is about the quiet power of awareness, the simple pause, the single breath, the gap you claim before words leave your tongue, or actions bind you in regret. You have learnt that observation is not weakness but the beginning of strength, that the stories you tell yourself are not the truth, but passing clouds in a vast sky, that the breath you so often overlook is the very anchor that can save you from drowning in your own reactions. You have seen how stillness is not the absence of life, but the presence of a deep, immovable calm within you. The calm that watches the storm and knows this too shall pass. This path is not instant. There is no final state where you will never feel triggered again. But there is a life where your triggers no longer own you, where you respond rather than react, listen rather than lash out, breathe rather than break. It is a life built through daily practice, patient and honest. A choice you make every time you feel the heat rising inside and decide, not this time. I choose stillness. I choose my peace. Let the world do what it does, spin, provoke, challenge. Let people say what they say, misunderstand, judge, test you. Inside you is a deeper freedom, the quiet knowing that you are not the storm, but the sky that holds it all. And when you master this, the chain reaction, the breath, the silence, the story, the practice, you will find that no one and nothing has the power to drag you from your own center. That is true mastery. Not the end of feeling, but the beginning of living awake. Responding with clarity, acting with care, rooted in a calm so strong that the noise of the world simply passes through you, leaving you whole and untouched. Again and again